What is up? It's Colt from the Brolettes here, and we just finished interviewing Carson Matthews. He was a former minor leaguer who'd started a soap company that's called Ball Boyz Soap. Let's go check it out.
Let's start by talking about the big elephant in the room, right? Like, why in the world does a guy playing pro ball, minor league ball, indie ball, like, why do you start a soap company? Like, you got a lot going on trying to be a pro baseball player. Why in the world do you stop what you're doing and start a soap company?
Right. So, I mean, I've always been interested in business. Like, it's always been a thing for me that, because I knew baseball wouldn't last forever. Like, obviously, I wanted to make it to the big leagues, but even if you do make it to the big leagues, it stops at some point. You can't play until you're 70. So, I've always been interested. I'm always a big learner. Love reading books that talk about, finance, learning, all that stuff. And so, I'm always thinking of ideas. I had this huge list of like different ideas that'd be cool that I could do. Like, I've started different things before that just haven't really panned out, but it's been invaluable for me because it's the learning experience was amazing. Like, I probably started 3 other things that just haven't done anything, but I wouldn't have been able to start this and take it where it is right now without having those. So honestly, I was in the shower literally after a game and I was like, you know what? Like, I looked around, all this soap it was all bad. Like, you look at the back, it's all dangerous chemicals. It's like, it's all bad stuff. And I know there's other healthy soaps, but this is different. I was like, there's nothing that's been marketed for athletes, even like the healthy farmers market soaps, all the ingredients, they're still not strong enough. Cause my whole thing was that athletes get more sweat and dirt, in their skin. So they need something that's strong and healthy because they're athletes to be able to clean it out. So I'm like, you know what? Let's just do it. Let's just start it. Let's see if it can sell.
So what was it like playing baseball as a kid?
It was awesome. That's when it was a game. You're just having fun with your buddies. Get pizza after the game. You didn't really care about the stats. That's when baseball is the most fun, is when you're out there having fun. I loved it. I mean, it was all I ever wanted to do my whole entire life. My brothers played baseball. I'm the youngest of three. So it's like I just kind of did whatever they did. And so that's how I fell into baseball.
Did you always have dreams of being a big leaguer?
Always, always. I never want to be anything else. That's always what I wanted to be since day one.
When did you know you had a real shot at playing pro ball?
When I started getting to high school, I realized I was pretty good. And I was like, you know what? I could probably do this. And so I just kept head down day at a time, just doing everything I could to achieve that goal.
After high school, get to college, Saddleback College, San Diego State. You're there during like the weirdest time to be in college of all time, right? Like COVID, seasons being shut down. Like, how did that either help you, set you back? Like, what was that kind of time frame like for you, as both as a ball player, but just as a person too?
Well, so COVID wasn't the hardest part. You won't find this for some reason. I don't know why it's not. I think there's one article on it. When I was at San Diego State, the second month I was there, I tore my ACL. And so I was out pretty much the whole year. So, I mean, COVID obviously was, terrible. Like, season ended, things were closed. But for like my baseball career wise, tearing my ACL the year after that is what hurt me. Because I only played like the last 6 games at San Diego State just because we were close to making the playoffs. And they kind of stood me up there as a hitter and just I had a whole brace on. I was running super slow. It was hectic.
That's a big setback too, especially like mentally, right? Like, your team's going through it. It's like the time where you're supposed to be able to shine. Like, how are you able to kind of like persevere, or like the mindset to help you like say like, you know what, I need to push through this. I need to get back in the game.
I just had a purpose. You can't really do anything without a purpose. So I always had an end goal, and every day I'd wake up and get to that end goal. I actually, because the original timeline was supposed to be 9 to 12 months, which is typical ACL.
Right.
So I got better in 4 months with a lot of disagreement from my doctor, but I'd passed all the tests, everything good, and he had to clear me. So it was crazy. Just every day that's what I was doing. I had my goal and I was going to come back and play that season. Like, there was nothing stopping me. Like, no matter how, like, everyone told me like that was not possible. My physical therapist, doctor, everyone. My doctor got so annoyed. Like, I called every day almost. I'm like, hey, I did this. Like, let me, like, clear me to do this. And it was a tough battle, but we got there.
So you signed as an undrafted free agent. What was that process like?
So that was difficult because again, that's the year I tore my ACL. So I really only played in 6 games. And the year before I was at JUCO and it got shut down early because of COVID. So that was like 16 games. So really in the past like 2 years before that, I played in 22 total games, which is kind of crazy. But I did good enough in JUCO where people remembered me. And I did all, I mean, honestly, I didn't do great at San Diego State because I played 6 games after not playing for 15 months. And then I went, so I was planning on coming back because I was still a redshirt sophomore. And I was planning on coming back. I went to the MLB Draft League. I did pretty well there. And then some teams were interested. And I was like, you know what? I should go now. Because if something happens, say I tear it again, who knows? Like, I'm not going to get another shot. So I said, you know what? Let's do it.
That's awesome. Is MLB Draft League, is that like an invite only? Was that like a tryout where was it like almost like a summer ball league? Like, how does that even work?
Yeah, so that's the summer ball league. They're trying. It's almost like an older Cape Cod. So like the Cape, you go after your sophomore year. The MLB Draft League is guys that are eligible for the draft, like juniors and seniors. So it's a little bit older. It's a little bit different, but it was cool. It's a cool experience.
So what is the first thing you did after you got signed?
First thing I did, well, went to Arizona for the MLB draft camp, or the camp of all the new people that just signed. And then we got assigned to our teams, and we literally once you get signed, you start playing baseball right away. It's not like you have a little bit of time. It's right away. They're like, all right, here's your flight. Here you go. And you're there. It's kind of a shock, honestly.
No time to like celebrate and party. It's like literally like, hey, shoot down. So
what's the first minor league team you got assigned to? And what was that experience like?
It was low A Inland Empire 66ers. It was good. It's weird because that's only like 45 minutes from my house. So it was weird like signing. I was finally professional, and then like I'd go home on off days and sleep in my own bed. It was super weird, but it was a really cool experience. A lot of cool people. It really made me understand the culture of baseball more. Just like that's really the first time where you're playing against everyone in the world. It's not just people, from the country. So you got to mix all the different things, like all the language barriers, everything. It was pretty crazy, but it was really cool.
I saw on your TikToks that they switched you to a pitcher. Why did they do that?
They did. I don't know. I'm gonna be honest. Nobody really knows. I I guess I have a pretty decent arm, and I guess I wasn't hitting well enough, and they said it. And actually, no, this is what happened. We were down by a lot in one game, and they put me on the mound, and then I struck the guy out in 3 pitches and threw him pretty hard. And they're like, "Hey, why don't you throw a bullpen in front of the pitching coordinator?" I was like, "Okay." And so I threw one, and they're like, "Hey, we want to make you a pitcher." I was like, "Oh my gosh!" And it wasn't really like them asking; it was more like them telling me. And so that's what happened. That was crazy.
So then you started a soap company. What was the first thing you did to go from a crazy idea to actually making your first bar of soap?
Right. So I had the idea. I built everything out when I had the idea. I built out the website, so I was able to get sales. But what I did, I didn't even have the product before I started selling it, because I didn't want to get a bunch of inventory before selling it. And then if I didn't sell it, I didn't want to have 1,000 bars of soap just laying around. So I sold about like 50 something bars of soap in a week, and I didn't even have any soap, so I could just have a proof of concept to know. So that's pretty much how it happened. That was the first thing I did. I said, you know what, I'm gonna set up a website. I have this idea. I'm gonna get some 3D mock-ups of the product, and I'm gonna just get a regular bar of soap and just say it's for athletes right now, and that's what it's gonna be. So, like, we didn't have the box. Like, you go to the very first videos, we didn't have like soap boxes for the soap. It's just the bare soap, because I didn't even order anything yet.
So what's like, you're going through this, right? Like, I know all the difficulties in starting a new product, right? Like, you got to get samples, you got to test them, you got to find manufacturers. Like, from your perspective, like, what were some of the biggest roadblocks, challenges, obstacles, like that kind of came in your way? Because again, I know you said you started some things, before that, but like nothing ever goes smooth, especially in product creation. So what was that like for you?
I think the biggest roadblock is obviously find the right manufacturer, because we want the soap made in the USA. So we need to find the right, and USA, it's going to be more expensive prices, obviously. And so I had to find the right one that had quality ingredients, the exact ingredients that I want, so I could custom make it. Like, this isn't me. I'm not white labeling the soap, just like taking someone else's product and selling it as our own. Like, I custom make every ingredient. Everything is in it specifically for a reason. So I had to find a company that could do that, one that could have quick deliveries in case, we sell out, and ones that were responsive, and one that has pretty good price. And so it took a while to get all those quotes, but when we finally found one, it was really good. And then I had to test the soap to see how I liked it. I didn't want to just order 5,000 bars and be like, oh my gosh, this soap is not good. So that was a long process. I think the hardest part, honestly, is waiting, because I'm very impatient. Like if I have an idea, I'm like, okay, I can sell this now. Why isn't the soap here in my hand right now? Like, why do I like? So that was the hardest part for me. I had to wait 3 weeks for it to all to come to fruition, but it was worth the wait.
So how did you come up with the name for your soap company?
So we were actually on the bus after a game. We were driving back to the field. We were playing in Ohio, and I was doing all like the renderings and all the website stuff. And we were kind of going around just thinking of names. Because at first we were just like athlete soap. Like what could be athlete soap? Because we didn't want to just be, obviously we were baseball players. We want to be just confined to the baseball world. We want every athlete, every one person. So like what's a name that could encompass that? But it's also almost a double entendre in the fact like it means soap, but it also means athletes. And so I remember one guy said like, what about Bubble Boys? I'm like Bubble Boys, like what about Ball Boyz? And then it's just from there, it was like, okay, that's what we have to do. And I thought for sure Ballboyz would be taken. It was crazy.
So can you tell me about your first sale?
My first sale, yes, I remember it. So because we first started selling on TikTok, and TikTok, they don't want people to leave the app. So you're not allowed to have a link in your bio to your website until you have 1,000 followers, right? And I mean, it's all relative, but 1,000 followers first is kind of hard to get. And then people saw one of the videos because it was just like a story about like what we were doing, and someone DM'd us on Instagram like, "Hey, like this is a really cool story. Like I'd love to get some." And that was pretty much how it went. Honestly, that's honestly how a lot of the first sales came. They just DM'd us on Instagram like, "Cause like, hey, where's your website? Like, where can I get this?" And that's how it happened.
So what most excites you about your business right now?
What most excites me is that exciting is because it can grow so much more.
Yeah, you were talking to me off camera a little bit about vision and like owning that category of like being this, brand for athletes that does a whole lot more. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about that and talk about your vision, but also like why isn't there something out there for athletes, right? And how are athletes different than just, the average person coming home from work? I know you said it like I see him after practice. He's a sweaty mess, right? And so,
Yep.
What is it about athletes, and why isn't there anybody in this category?
I was shocked that there's nobody in this category. Honestly, I was shocked. And you're right. It's not just a marketing ploy where it's like, oh, this is made for athletes. Like athletes do get more sweat and dirt on their skin than anyone else. And normal soap just isn't going to clean it. Like normal soap, like the normal stuff you see in the store and everything, like it's because I've done so much research now on soap. I can tell you anything about soap. It's it's all the chemicals in it are like most soaps have something called paraben. Like parabens are banned in a lot of the world. Like, but in the U.S. for some reason we're allowed to use them. There's something called sodium lauryl sulfate, which literally like changes your hormones and lowers testosterone and raises estrogen. So it's just unhealthy, and people just put this on their bodies like nothing for some reason. Like no one cares about it, and it's a big problem. It really is. So not only that was I passionate about all the chemicals and all the healthy stuff, but like I wanted to be able to make something where athletes are like, you know what? I am dirty. Like I need to clean this out with something that's made for me.
I was watching a few of the TikToks with the eye black too, right? Like, so for him, like my wife would use like makeup remover and like stuff like that, and just like to get it off. But like, I love that like you use the activated charcoal, right? And you just got it off like immediately.
Yeah.
Like that was super cool. And again, I think you're finding specific solutions that athletes have that like, again, the average person doesn't have to get, black paint off their face, 3-4 times a week. So I thought that was super cool and unique. And, again, probably as a 10, 11-year-old kid, it's not as big a deal, but like as a 16-year-old in the locker room, you don't want to be pulling out like your girlfriend's makeup wipes, right? To like get your eye black off, right?
Yeah, those videos are fun. Those don't drive as many like sales as the other ones, but those are just fun to do because it's like, oh, like this can do this, and it's just cool, sports specific. It drives engagement. It's pretty cool. And it does like work really well, which is funny. We tested it against a wipe and it like actually like cleaned everything out. It was pretty cool.
So this one's like, I'm a big believer, especially athletes when they're growing. Now they're starting to build their profile. You got NIL, you got things like that. I'm a big believer in building your own brand, building your own business, things that you've kind of taken, to heart and run with. What advice do you have to athletes who are kind of contemplating that, right? Like, is this a route that I can actually go down? Like, what advice do you have to them that might help them either say, you know what, maybe I do want to build a product-based brand, or, maybe now isn't the right time?
I think you definitely should. It's the way the world's going. It's there's never been a better time to do it. Personal brands, personal, businesses. There's literally, I think everyone should do it. Everyone should be taught it because it's how the world works now. Like you see all these people, like I'll go personal brands, like there's influencers making restaurants and all this stuff based off their name. They're making, like, I'm sure Mr. Beast. Like that guy doesn't know anything about chocolate, but he started a chocolate bar because his name is Mr. Beast, and they probably go crazy. Like the Prime sports drinks with the Logan Paul and them, like people buy it because of them. They don't buy it because the drink is like cool. Like those people make the drink cool. And so like it's such a big thing now to be able to have that personal brand because it's everything now. It is everything.
And as an athlete, you almost inherently have a built-in personal brand, right? Because you have a fan base, they're coming to watch you. All these little guys want your autograph. And like, so if you can capitalize on that and say, in your case, like, hey, like I got my own soap brand, like all your fans are going to want to use your soap. And I think it's such a no-brainer. I love it. All right, let's wrap this thing up with some rapid fire questions. I know Colt's put some together for you. Let's rock and roll.
What was your favorite pregame meal?
Favorite pregame meal? Let's see. I mean, good peanut butter jelly sandwich. Can't really beat that.
So what was your favorite baseball movie?
Field of Dreams, definitely.
What was your walk-up song?
It was a Lorde song called Flicker. It's a cool song.
Who's your favorite player growing up?
Dustin Pedroia.
What's the coolest piece of sports memorabilia that you have?
I have a Willie Mays signed baseball that's pretty cool.
What is your pregame routine?
Pre-game routine. All right, so I was kind of a guy that because once you start playing games, I know this isn't a rapid fire answer, but once you start playing so many games, you're playing games every single day. It kind of gets exhausting to do something like try to get locked in. Like, and I realized one day, like, you know what? When I'm playing wiffle ball with my buddies in the backyard, I go 5 for 5 every time with 5 home runs. I'm not thinking. I'm just having fun. Same thing with baseball, and I realized that. And once I started realizing that, you're like, you know what? I don't need to get all like super intense because I know how to play the game. That's why you practice. So the preparation is all in the practice, and then once the game starts, I don't have to worry because I know I'm playing wiffle ball, but just on a bigger scale. So that helped me. I know some people really need to get locked in. Like it's all personal preference, but that's what I realized works best for me.
So what is your favorite soap?
Ooh, my favorite. They're all good. They're all very good. With the body scrubs, I probably have to go Cool Breeze is really good. It's very nice. And then the face scrubs, I like Lemonade. Lemonade's cool.
So in one of your videos, I saw you taking a bite of your soap. Can you actually eat it?
Technically you can, but I'm not allowed to say you can because I don't want to have to deal with a bunch of kids eating the soap and then something happens. So no, you can't eat the soap.
I love that, man. For people that want to learn more about Ballboyz and what you guys are doing, where's the best place we should send them to go check out to learn more and get their hands on some of the soap right now?
Definitely go to our Instagram, Ballboyz Soap, or our TikTok, Ballboyz Soap. It's Ballboyz with a Z, by the way.
It's way cooler with a Z.
Way cool.
Way cooler. I love it, man. Carson, man, thank you so much for taking some time out to do this. Really, really appreciate it. Colt and I really happy with that and wish you nothing but the success, man.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. This was awesome. And this is such a cool thing you're doing. Like, remember that. Like, keep doing this. Like, your dad seems awesome. Like, just from the couple calls I've had with him, like, you got a cool thing going here. And I'm really impressed.
Thank you.